Welcome back to another video, and as the title says, we are finally going to be planting out our potatoes. It has been so long since I've been waiting for this, and these guys have been in a brown packet in a dark area since the 6th of December 2024, and I'll explain to you exactly why I have done this. So when I saw these potatoes, I actually bought them in a shop. I then went home and I cooked them, and I absolutely loved them. The reason being is that they were quite creamy and small. And these guys are called the Abbey potatoes. It's mostly used for, I think they said, roasting, and you can see how small they are. They're pretty small. So why I put them in these brown bags is because I wanted these eyes to start developing in order for me to then plant them, and they all got some eyes on them. And once I put these guys in soil, they'll start growing above. So there is a few ways you can actually plant potatoes, and I'm going to just go through my options with you guys. The first one is obviously raised beds, and I do my homestead in raised beds because of the clay soil that we have in the back garden. And the raised beds just give me control over the soil type that I put in my raised beds, as well as it being well drained soil, so that it doesn't sit in my raised beds. And what you're going to do with the potatoes is that you're going to just put it on a layer of soil, just bury them not too high up, about that much above the potato. You wait for these little eyes to shoot stems through, and you just keep on covering it with soil until you can't anymore. That is the one method, is raised beds. Another method is just plain containers or pots. You are able to do that in small little spaces. So if you're saying that you don't have a garden, this is one of your methods you are able to do. Just get, I would say, no smaller than a pot like this. Let's put one potato in here, and one potato should be able to give you a few potatoes at the end of your season. If you go bigger than that, then put 2 potatoes. If you go larger than that, you can put maybe 4 potatoes. But see how big the pot is, then you'll be able to distance your potatoes. And my third option comes to that. So before we start, I just want to give out a big shout out to Karen, who actually bought me this. It is a potato bag, and I think so she actually sent me a few things, and this is, let's go through it. I love little gifts like this, and normally I get seeds for gifts. This was a very nice surprise. Okay, so this is a strawberry hanging bag. How cool is that? So you hang it somewhere, you obviously will top it up with soil, and then you got these little slits over here, and then your strawberries will be able to go in there and then hang down. Awesome. I've already opened this, and these are 1, 2, 3, 4 bags, potato bags. So that's quite cool. I would say I'll be able to put maybe 2 potatoes or 3 potatoes in here. I'm going to try 3, and I'll do the same method. I'm going to put so much soil in it, put the potatoes in, and once the eyes have sprouted, I'll just fill it up with soil and carry on until I can't fill the bag up with soil anymore. You can see this has actually got some nice drainage holes here, even on the side. And then when I do want to harvest it, all I do is just open it like that and take all the potatoes out. Now you can use this for sweet potatoes as well. I've got all my sweet potatoes in woolly bags. I've done a video about that, and part 2 will be coming out soon when I'm able to harvest them. Part 1 is out, so go take a look at that video on how I actually prepped my sweet potato slips. But you could also do sweet potato slips in here, and the only difference is that you're going to just fill this up, I would say about up to here, with soil, and then just put your potatoes somewhere about that much deep in the bag, so that the sweet potatoes can just start growing underneath. So potatoes are very different. They grow on the stem, and as the stem grows and you fill it up with soil, the potatoes will grow, and then your stem again will go above the soil. You fill it up, and when you fill it up, potatoes, and that is how potatoes are grown. Sweet potato a little bit different, it grows at the bottom, but this bag will be able to use for the same purpose for sweet potatoes. So I've got 3 or 4 bags, 1, 2, 3, 4 bags, and let's start prepping the first bag, and I'll show you how we are going to prep our Abbey potatoes. So the soil type that you can use, a lot of people give you different suggestions to what soil you need to use for potatoes, but in my case I've actually grown potatoes in different varieties of soil, and I would say it has to be really good drainage soil. And over here I've got some pots that I have soil that I've got left over from plants that I've taken out and put in the raised beds, and that is what I'm going to use for this. So empty out all of that. So we have a rooster, and our other chickens that we hatched, we gave it to our neighbor, and they've got a rooster as well. So now I'm just listening to them roosting, crowing. Ours is crowing. His name is, that's ours. His name is Camo. Our neighbor's cock is replying back to him. We're having a huge conversation there. It's also, check that, whole bunch of worms in here, which means the soil is not that bad. So you can see that I've not really put the soil too high up, and now I'm just going to take my potatoes, and I haven't got much of them. You can see I've only got this much, and I'm going to put all of them in here. Then I'm going to just top it up with some soil, not too much, just going to cover it. You can see the potatoes still showing through there. Might put a little bit more soil. And I'm going to leave it like this. We'll come back to this when the first shoot has come out. And I would say about that high. So we can start covering it with some more soil. And the goal is for it to be about, I would say about up to here with soil. And then we'll stop filling it up with soil and just let the shoots then grow, and then we'll be able to leave that. I think it will probably go through the whole of winter, and then as soon as the leaves in that start browning and dying off, we'll be able to harvest this.
Much later.
Just a quick update on the Abbey potatoes we planted on the 2nd of March. So these Abbey potatoes I put in a brown bag on the 6th of December. We planted them on the 2nd of March. Today is the 15th of March. And you can see they have already come up. So I've got 4 Abbey potatoes in here, I think. 4 or 3. Yeah, it must be 4 because there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So they've all taken. And once these guys shoot up to about that height, I'll cover it with more soil until it gets to about up to here, and then we'll just let it overgrow.
Much later.
Got some potting soil here, and we are going to fill up the potatoes at last. So I'm going to fill it up all the way to the top, because you can see how long I've actually left this. I was supposed to slowly fill it up, and I've just not been able to because of the rain. So let's quickly fill it up right to the top and take this out, and we'll come back to it now. There you have it. So I filled it up to the top, and we'll give it a good water in. Well, we actually don't need to give it a good water. It's going to be raining this whole week, so we'll just let the rain do its thing. But you could fill it up right to the top, but once the water actually is in here, it will drain, and you'll probably find the soil level will also drop. I will just fill it up. So I filled it up with 80% of potting soil and the balance with compost. I've only used a 15 dm, couldn't find a 30 dm, but that's still fine. It's just a little bit finer than your normal 30 dm. So we'll come back to the Abbey potatoes once we see it basically start browning. Time to harvest, I think, would be the next step. So these Abbey potatoes we had in a brown bag on the 6th of December last year, and we planted it in this grow bag on the 2nd of March. Today is the 6th of April, and I was supposed to have topped this up with soil about 3 weeks ago, so I'm very behind in that, and I know this will be fine. It will start now shooting roots on the side of the stem, and the potatoes will grow from that. So we discussed the difference between potatoes and sweet potatoes. Potatoes, you have a stem and shoots grow from the side, and that's where your potatoes from, or the side shoots, will start growing off, where a sweet potato will only grow at the bottom by the roots. So that's the difference between growing them, and that's why a sweet potato, you can just bury it. So yeah, let's come back to this once it is completed.
Much later.
So we are going to be harvesting our potatoes. These have all started dying back. It's either two things. It's either I have not watered them and it's a lack of water, they're busy dying, or they are ready to harvest. And there's only one way to find out. Got these Abby potatoes, started sprouting them so that the R's had some shoots on in order for me to plant them, and then I planted them in March. So there's not a lot of time. March, April, May. It's been 3 months. Is there anything in this bag? I doubt it, but only one way to find out is to actually harvest this. Okay, so I share things like this with you only because we learn together, and I've not done potatoes before, but it looks like I've actually neglected my potatoes and not watered them enough because they weren't ready. They could have given me more. You can see here's the main potato that I let root a bit. This was my first time growing potatoes, and I like to share all my failures with you, and then we try and learn together so that we can actually do better the following season. And that's been like the cabbage, like the broccoli and the cauliflower. I fail at it every single season. It gets to a certain point where it just starts getting attacked by every single insect that broccoli and cauliflower attracts, and I end up losing a lot of my crops. But I never give up. I try again, a different method every single time. So I've got another method I'm going to try next season with the broccoli, cauliflower and the cabbage. And yes, sometimes I feel like giving up. With potatoes, this was my first time doing potatoes, and I think I've done pretty well. This is my harvest, and I got something out of the plant. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm not going to count this one, so it's 7 potatoes from, I think it was 3 or 4 potatoes that I had gone and planted. So it doesn't include this one. So I think this is pretty good for first time. And these potatoes are fairly small. But yeah, guys, this is a win for me. It means I've done something right. I just need to plant it in the correct season, and also make sure I water my potatoes. So a lot of people would actually find this as a disappointment and be very disheartened that they only got that much harvest from their potatoes. I'm pretty chuffed because that is 7 new little potatoes that I didn't have before, and as I said, this is a learning curve for me, and I think I did pretty well. So at the end, it was my fault that they didn't grow more potatoes, because what happens with potatoes is that when the leaves start dying back, it means that it's time to harvest. But I knew that I wasn't watering my potato bags as often as I was supposed to, and they were drying out very, very fast. So the leaves started drying out because it didn't get enough water. So I knew that when I was about to harvest, that it was either two things, that it was either ready harvest or that it was a lack of water. And I kind of like knew it was a lack of water, but I was hoping for the best. And yeah, 7 potatoes is more than a win for me. And I just know what to do next time. So it means that you need to learn how to correct it going forward. I told you the story about me being a big failure in cabbage, broccoli and cauliflower, and there was a year that I actually totally skipped, but I did it again this year. I failed at it, but it was the biggest than it had ever grown to prior the other years. So I'm getting there, I'm learning, And then next season I will do a different method. And don't give up. Remember, the channel is about learning how to make things better, and tips and things that we can learn together. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you are also learning like me, give this a like, subscribe, so that we can learn together as we grow together. And I will see you all in the next video.